Hey everyone, this is Scott. It is a holiday here in the United States, but Experience points that never sleeps. I'm just going to do a quick video today of an iPad game I've been playing. I actually discovered this pretty recently because a lot of people have been talking about it, and I never bothered to look into it. It's called Monument Valley. I'm already booted in here, and easiest way is just to show you what's up with it. I'm playing this on the iPad, by the way. There's the instructions. Tap the path. And then hold and rotate. So you'll see this. There you go. There's a path. It's like that game that was an early PSN game called Echo Chrome, which is funny because I feel like, that game was kind of a cult hit, but it's subsequently influenced or at least been referenced in a lot of different games. Kind of that MC Escher style geometry. So I'll do a couple more puzzles here. I don't want to do a huge number of them because, there's only one solution per puzzle, and there's not a huge number of them, so I don't want to give away most of this game. But I finished the whole thing, and it's well worth your time. It's $5, and the production values are really high. The concept of it isn't incredibly complicated, but there's actually a story that's going on behind the scenes, which is, again, fairly rare for an iPad or an iOS game in general. One weird thing is the endless runner level of this. Just kidding, there's no endless runner part. So I'm going to flip this around here so I have a path. So in order to get over there, I need to connect my path, which means I need to do a little bit of backtracking. And here's where that MC Escher thing comes up. I almost get kind of a That Game Company vibe out of it. Or maybe Eco, the sharp lines. Lots of contrast, lots of light bloom. It's just a very clean looking and clean sounding game. The production values are just very high, and not in a flashy way. Not as if they were using it's the Unreal Engine on iOS. It's just something that the art style is very deliberate. And it's paired with a game that is pretty well suited to the mobile platform. A lot of these levels, take a few minutes to get through. So it's pretty nice if you have a long commute. And everything in the game is communicated through some sort of visual language. Like if you see these dots, that's something that you can touch and slide around. The gears or the cranks that we saw in the last level, show what you can rotate. So there's not a lot of UI either. It's pretty nice, pretty minimal. And anything that's not controlled by a crank, you can actually move while Ida's on top of it. Most of the puzzles, they close off those doors. You saw the doors closed after I finished that section of the puzzle, so there's not a huge amount of backtracking. The game is really about finding that initial solution and then just enjoying the ambiance of it. So here we go. Here's part of what will become a larger story here. It also avoids the problem of action sequences. I mean, there's really nothing that will kick you out of the level, or enemies that'll kill you or anything like that. So it's very well suited to sometimes the mistaps that you make when you're on iOS. No virtual control pads in this game, thankfully. Alright, let's figure out what we're trying to do here. Whoops. Alright. And of course, this being an iOS game, you can always take a picture of things and then share it out to people. Because maybe your Twitter followers want to know what kind of indie hipster game you're playing. So those are the first 3 levels. Like I said, I'm not going to go too much further because, there's not an endless number of levels and there's really only one solution per. You can buy some more levels for a couple bucks, which is nice. But, I mean, the full game has the complete story in it. You don't have to worry about things being locked behind a paywall or anything. And again, this isn't something that is like an energy-focused iOS game. So it's just a nice respite from all of the goddamn Game of War bullshit commercials I've been watching while watching football today. One last thing that I want to share here is, let's see if I can find it. Aha, here we go. So Us2 Games is a developer, and somehow they've got like a pretty vibrant community going on. One thing that I like quite a bit is, and which I think is really smart, is that they link to their social media pages, including their Tumblr, where they highlight fan art specifically. So instead of making a bunch of stuff themselves, they just highlight what the community has been making. Which some of the stuff is pretty funny and pretty good. It's surprising, the little communities that crop up around games are always surprising to me because no matter what type of game you have, there will be people making things around it. Little fan tributes or artistic interpretations. Here's one from a 6-year-old. That pillar comes in later in the game. There was a couple of costumes. One that I showed Hana that was pretty funny. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So, child dressed up as Ida. I imagine dad dressed up as big cardboard totem. Yeah, it's quite a cool game. And like I said, for those folks that commute or those folks that are looking to, just find something that isn't a microtransaction-based game, that reminds me a lot of something that Team Eco or that game company would do. I think you would definitely like this. I also played it on everything back to an iPad, a first generation iPad mini. So it performs very well even on older machines. So there's not much reason to hesitate on that account. In any case, hope everyone's having a good holiday weekend if you're in the U.S. And George and I will be talking to you again next week when we return. See ya.